Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Wendy, his mom.
Hi Mom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and today we're here to tell you how we felt about Carrie, the remake of the Stephen King film from 1976. Yes. This movie, in case you don't know anything about Carrie, in case you never saw the original, you don't know what it is, it's about a social outcast girl whose mother is kind of a religious nut, and she's going to public school, but her mother, of course, would rather her not be going to public school, and she discovers that she has telekinesis, and then at the end, she kills everyone. That's basically the film. So we're gonna jump right into it. Mom, how did you feel about Carrie?
How did I feel about Carrie? Well, Carrie the girl or Carrie the film?
No, the film.
No, the film.
This movie made you feel like?
Well, in the beginning, I get this turned right, I was uncomfortable, but by the end I was satisfied because the movie really, well, I saw the first one. In fact, I think I saw it with you back a long time ago, and I had actually seen it in high school, so when I saw it with you, it had been the second or third or fourth time, who knows, you know, I mean, it's one of my very, very, very favorites, the original from 1976. Yeah, well, you know, but, I was uncomfortable at first with it because of the modernization that they have added. You know, they have set this movie in present time, which means that the bullying scenes that are in it are more internet related as opposed to physical bullying, although there is some of that as well. And so that part made me feel real uncomfortable, especially with all the things that are going on in the news and the fact that I'm a teacher in a middle school. And,
oh, yeah, sure. You
know, all of that kind of stuff. But by the end, I was very satisfied because the ending was, although similar, it was also different. And you find out that Carrie really, she wasn't really trying to destroy her whole town like she was in the first movie, you know. And I was also uncomfortable with the actress that played Carrie this time. You know, although she did a fairly good job with her role, the first, you know, Sissy Spacek, God, I don't think you can beat her.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm with you. That's tough.
That was just my thing.
And I wonder if people would feel the same way about her performance if they didn't know the original. That's the thing. You know,
I think that's probably, yeah, that's a good question. But Julianne Moore, I have to say, as Carrie's mother, was absolutely fat.
And every bit as good as the original, if not better.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. There were some scenes in this film that were not there in the first film. Some of them were really good additions.
Yeah. Some
of them not. And I don't want to spoil anything for the rest of you if you haven't seen it yet. But the very beginning of this film is very, very well done. The special effects were good.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, cool. Well,
so all of that.
We got some stuff you like, some stuff you don't like.
Exactly. How about you?
How are you feeling? Give us your verdict.
Oh, I'm feeling it.
Okay, fantastic. This movie made me feel like I'm glad I wasn't in high school when kids could take video with their phones.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That mortifies me now. Thinking about the kinds of things that kids can do to each other and how compromising kids are with their own privacy and not even thinking about that. Every time I see this kind of thing, it bugs me a lot. Now, I don't think this movie was too preachy about that. I just think that it was an element that had to be added if you're going to contemporize it. And
I would agree.
That made me fine with the fact that it was there. I thought it was integrated well. I think the thing that I liked the most was that the ending made me... the ending was not exactly the same as the original and made me wonder if it wasn't saying some slightly different things than the original was. I'm not going to go for a full-blown analysis here, but Carrie does some things at the end that she doesn't do it in the original, that have a lot to do with the way her the way her powers kind of come into being, and how well she is at controlling, how good she is at controlling them.
Yes, yes.
But also, I think that she thinks about things differently than the girl in the original did, and the way the religious motifs work and things like that, I think it's a little bit different, and so I liked that me having seen the original and liking the original, I didn't come in and have the same experience. I got to have a different experience, but it was also still a pretty decent film. I'm gonna make no bones about it. I don't like it as well as the original, but I think it's pretty good.
Well, I don't like it as well as the original either. I mean, why are you gonna mess with perfection?
Yeah, well, and I don't know that it's a perfect film. But
is anything?
No. One thing I really appreciated not having was some of the cinematography in the original is really difficult to deal with. At the prom, there's a scene that goes on for 3.5 minutes where they're dancing and the camera's spinning around them, and I got seasick. Like, so I'm glad I'm glad that's not there. But
I would agree with you there.
I think I really resisted. The thing probably the big thing I didn't care for was the lack of nuance in Chloe Grace. What's her name?
Whatever her name is.
Moretz, I think.
I think that's right.
Yeah, Chloe Moretz. I like Chloe Moretz a lot. I liked her a lot in the Kick-Ass films. I thought she was really funny. She was a great child actress when she was kind of when she kind of became a star with Kick-Ass. And
this was my first experience with her. I'd never seen her in anything before because Kick-Ass is just not my thing.
I think she did a really good job with this, in that she in her being cast in it. I don't think she was the right pick. That was my problem with her. Is I went through this whole movie not buying that she was a social outcast. She's not, and again, part of the problem is it's really difficult not to compare her to the original. But I still feel like I would have had that to at least to a degree. Probably not to the extent that I do knowing the original and having seen it real recently in preparation for this. But you know, she goes through this film and she is a lot more confident. She's a lot bolder. Too early, I think, and she's too calculating. I mean, like in the original, that girl is not pretty, and you can totally understand why she's not. Why everybody looks down on her, and she is weird, and she is kind of messed up, and then she has this transformation, and she becomes beautiful, and you're like, oh, this is what this person could be. And then the horrible thing happens that puts everything back into perspective for her, and she goes nuts. Well, in this film, I don't get that transformation the same way, and that's the thing I really resisted. Anyway, overall, I'm going to say I'm feeling it. I thought it was good, but I also don't think that that it gave its audience the kind of credit that the original did. You and I were talking about a little bit about this before we started shooting, and this is one of the big things I want to talk about now is the fact that in the original they were a lot more subtle about when the powers were manifesting and in what way, and they were, you know, something would happen where at first it's like, oh, well, the light could have just gone out. But then, you know, you find out that it's actually her doing it. Here, everything is, like, ramped up by 11.
And for those of you that don't know, this is not pyrokinetics, where people are setting things on fire. That's Firestarter, which, if you like Drew Barrymore as a really young, early actress, that's a really good movie as well. But this is telekinesis, where you can actually move things with your mind and make things do what you want them to. So you can actually set a force field. I was shocked about that. That
was not a force field.
No, but that's the way it came off to me in this movie, and it was not something that happened before. You know, Carrie puts her hand up, and her mom's coming at her, and it's like she hits a brick wall, you know.
Yeah.
And she doesn't hit her hand, you know. She hits this invisible force, which I thought was amazing. But telekinesis is that ability to manipulate objects with your mind, not with your physical body. And the interesting thing, you know, she sews her prom dress on a treadle sewing machine, and it's so much fun to watch the treadle just going back and forth without the feet going
they were
on
really
it,
clever with the way they had her use her powers.
So I thought that was pretty
and
cool.
And it makes, in a weird way, the character more fun than in the original.
Yes,
which
I would agree.
Is supposed to be played up in such a way where you like her and have more fun with her, so you feel bad about where she goes at the end, which I don't think is as effective as the way it was in the original, where she's just straight up vacant and wrong and socially awkward, and that's
and you already feel sorry for her enough because of the way she's treated in the original film and even in the book.
Yeah, sure.
The book is like that too, you know, but it's because we have this wonderful myriad of technology now that we didn't have before that allows the cinematographers to do way more things with these powers and with these movies.
Yeah, and the question you gotta ask yourself
than they could have ever done 40 years ago when this was made.
But the question you gotta ask yourself, and what I'm a little bit on the fence about, because the effects in the original with what they were doing looked just fine.
Oh yeah, I thought so too.
I've not actually read the book. I need to.
I will loan it to you. I have it.
And what I don't know is how ramped up it was in the book. You see what I'm saying? So I got the sense that this film took it the spectacle was enormous at the end. Again, I won't give anything away if people want to see it, but there's a couple of things that are huge that she doesn't do in the original, which I was okay with, but I felt like it was kind of just for the sake of spectacle. It was like it was almost like, look at what we can do now as opposed to what we could then, as opposed to necessarily coming from a place. I don't know that I'm even complaining about it, but it definitely was spectacle driven at the end in a way that it was in the original, and I think that then with some of the choices that she makes that she didn't in the other version, they're trying to then make it a bit more character driven also. It's having a hard time balancing those two things, I think.
I wonder how much the spectacle depended on the setting of this film. Because in the original film, you've got a small town, but it's set out in the country somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, there's not an awful lot of stuff to do in this town.
That's a great
Everything seems to be, it seems to be like a remote village somewhere, you know. It's not really a village, but it's a small town, you know. Whereas you still think this is a small town in the new film, but it's obvious that technology has happened.
It's a small modern town. Yeah.
It's a small modern town, and it's obvious that there's money there.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, if you think about that, okay, I'm going to give this part away because
yeah, sure.
I just have to. In the original film, the guy picks her up in, I don't even remember what the car was, but it was some big boat, you know, like my Chevy Biscayne that I had, you know, my first car. It was so great. But in this film, the guy picks her up in a stretch limo, not just a stretch limo, but a white stretch limo.
Yeah.
You know, really cool. Okay, so you get the sense that not only is this a small town, but it's a small town full of affluent people. Okay, and you get not only the bullying scenes at the school with, you know, between Carrie and her classmates, but you also get the bullying that goes on between parents and administration at the school. And that's not in the first film.
That's not in the first film either, yeah. There's a lot of interesting things like that that are missing.
There are certain things that, you know, things that are hitting me now that I didn't even think about as I was watching the film. And maybe that was why I was uncomfortable at first, was because of all these changes and things that I know happen in certain areas, and
well, the thing is, what is the point of making the exact same film again?
Well,
what was the point of shooting Psycho shot for shot? There was no point. You just go back and watch the original.
Yeah.
I would agree. This film fixed a few things that I had issues with in the original, and then left some stuff out that I kind of wish had been there. And let me give you an example of each.
Yeah, please do.
The first is my biggest problem with the original is I just didn't buy why this girl would be going to public school. That woman would not homeschool or would not send her kid to public school. In this movie, they address it. They don't in the original.
That's true.
As far as I recall,
as I remember, no, they don't.
In this one, they have this line
phrase.
But it was enough for me. Where the principal says, you know, we had to send you to public school because your mother, by you know, the local law enforcement was not allowed to keep you at home anymore. And considering the home life they have, there, you can totally see why that is.
Exactly.
You know? And so,
she wasn't allowed to homeschool her anymore.
Yeah, her having to go to school. I mean, like us knowing why she was in public school, I thought was really important and kind of vital to making the story actually work. I also really appreciated the fact that we saw her mother at work and we saw what she did.
Yes.
There's kind of a neat little plot thing that I really appreciated, where she actually makes a dress for one of the girls that goes to prom at her work. She's a seamstress, and it's a red dress, and that's really important.
It is really important.
I think it's really interesting.
Not to give anything
juxtaposing
away.
Those two things, yeah.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so just as a thematic thing, I thought it was really neat that was in there.
Well, and we also get to see in this film how Carrie's mother deals with her discomfort over the modern world, where we didn't get to see that in the original film. In the original film, just like in this one, just like in the original film, we get to see the the fact that the mother wants to keep everything just so. She wants to keep everything plain, everything overly modest.
Right.
I think there's
clearly, yeah.
Talk about a minimalist. I mean, she's a huge minimalist, but you do get the sense that she, at least, I didn't realize when we saw her cutting out a pattern early in the film that she was doing that for a job.
Yeah.
And that was because later
that's why
on
I brought
she's
that
working.
Up, because in the original I was like, what does she do for a living? How do they keep that house?
Exactly. In this one, you see her cutting out a dress out of some blue, what looks like broadcloth to me, like they would use back in the pioneer days. And I mean, even to the point that the neckline and everything is just all there, and then later she's not sewing on the same piece that she cut out. She's sewing up a pair of pants or something, for somebody, which is where that scene comes in, where they holler, is anybody working today, that sort of thing, and because we knew from the early film that Carrie was a seamstress, that she knew how to make her own clothes.
Right, yeah.
And so my assumption,
kind of ran with that, yeah.
My assumption was that Carrie's mother was making the clothes for herself and her daughter, And I always wondered how the money was made too, because we never, that was never done.
So
and I don't think that was addressed in the book either.
They did a lot of stuff in this that made the whole scenario more plausible.
Yeah,
now, one of the things that I, going the other way to give you my negative example of something that they left in that I don't think they should have left in is, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, but at the beginning, obviously, the kind of catalyst that starts everything, that she has her period for the first time and
knows nothing about it and is freaking out. Yeah, exactly.
Which is the big thing that starts the whole thematic idea throughout the film of parent. If she had the right kind of parenting, she would have been able to deal with the powers that she had in the right kind of way, and that she's not really the devil like her mother thinks that she is.
Well, but it's not even about dealing with her powers. It's just dealing with regular life. This is a natural thing that happens to every woman at some point in time in their lives. And the fact that it happens so late in Carrie's life, you wonder what kinds of things this girl has been through, at home to keep her from actually developing the way she should.
But the powers, of course, are there as in extreme kind of way, and this is something we can do in science fiction and horror things.
Absolutely.
In an extreme way of giving, of really playing up what can happen when a person doesn't have the kind of guidance that they need to have. And so anyway, at the beginning, when that scene happens and the gym teacher comes in and stops it, she slaps her just like she does in the original film. Boy, I didn't like they left that in. They should have taken that out.
Why?
Because she'd never be able to get away with it in modern public schools. She would have gotten fired right away.
No, she wouldn't be able to get away with it, but with modern public schools. But in the original, I didn't understand why she slapped Carrie. In this one, I did, because Carrie's powers were already beginning to go, and she was getting out of control, and she looked like she was having a seizure. And I think the teacher slapped her to bring her back to the real world.
See, I got the notion in the original
what I thought,
that
but I
she
didn't get
slaps her
that in the.
because-
I didn't get that in the original.
I'm understanding
at all.
that. What I'm saying is, in the original, I thought I knew what it was. I thought it was that in 1976, corporal punishment in school was more acceptable.
Oh, not like
I mean,
that.
she is a lot like she's a lot more abrasive in the original. That teacher. I mean, like
Yes,
she
is.
her students, or she tries to have a lot more discipline with her students, and she's a lot harder on them the way that she talks to her than this woman is. I didn't buy this woman with slapper. I just didn't buy it.
No.
I mean, I can see why you're saying that.
Which is why I said.
But in the I didn't think she thought she was having a seizure. I thought she just slapped her because that's what they did in the original. I didn't like that. I also didn't feel like Carrie. This is my other big criticism. I didn't feel like Carrie was really the school pariah until that happened. And I wondered about why the entire school turns against her, because in the original, she's already an outcast. Everybody hates her. And like the whole school is almost built around let's be mean to this person. You don't have that here. It's almost like she doesn't even exist until that moment. Exactly. And I'm not saying I don't like it because it's different. I'm saying that I wasn't sure I bought the way everybody treated her after that. That's all. But the spectacle was really good. Again, I think it was maybe, larger and more over the top than it had to be, but it looked good, and we got to see her do some really clever things, so I'm a little bit conflicted about that, because I prefer the nuanced stuff, but yet it was fun to watch. You get to the end, and I'll tell you this, I always like to bring up when I see this, I saw something in a catastrophe kind of action scene that I've never seen before, which is really unusual. Yes. But there was a kill in this that is done in a way that I've never seen before, and it was fantastic.
And it was done well.
It looked really good.
It's freaky. It is freaky. I'll give you that. I know which part you're talking about. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, it looked really good.
But
ultimately, would you watch this one again?
Really good. Yeah, I would. I probably will wait till it comes out. I don't think I'll go to the theater again to see it. But,
again,
but I would. In fact, I think this could really be a good compare and contrast. If I was teaching high school, it could be a good compare and contrast for a class. Oh,
I'm sorry. I had a couple more notions I really wanted to bring up, and one of them was I was surprised. No, you're fine. I just forgot about this earlier. I was surprised at the lack of nudity. I was surprised they took that out. Because there was a lot of it in the original, and it worked really well thematically in the movie, because it's about the female body and about how the things that go on with that are natural and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that it's bad that it's missing. I just wondered why it was missing. I was a little surprised by that.
I think instead this movie uses wardrobe as a suggestion, as opposed to blatant nudity.
Oh yeah, it does. I just don't know why.
Because it's the way girls dress these days in middle school and high school. We're trying not to get them to dress that way, but
that's an interesting notion. It's almost like you're saying
it's the way they're dressing.
It's almost like you're saying that if girls are dressing in such a way where it leaves nothing to the imagination, what's the point of nudity anymore? Exactly. That's really interesting.
It's true. I mean, that's
you're right.
It makes. That's exactly what my colleagues would say as well.
I also wanted to throw out that I think that this character, Carrie, is kind of the first crypto-freak. Because one of the things that is really interesting about,
except I think Firestarter came before.
Yes, but they're very different.
They are very different.
And the reason I say she's the first crypto freak is because she's in high school and she kills everybody at her school. That's a Smallville thing. The reason the reason I wanted to bring it up though is because I don't know that that a remake like this of something that has permeated and this is just a criticism of remakes in general, of something that has permeated the culture, that people know really well, that has influenced things so hard. You wouldn't have had a lot of the scary, terrible prom movies and episodes of TV shows that you've had if it weren't for Carrie. So to come back and redo it again, I don't know that it has the same impact on a younger crowd now because they've seen it before. This scenario we've done 1,000 times now in other things.
Yep. Prom night.
So, yeah.
I mean, the movie Prom Night, and what else has been out there. But I think also...
every high school show that has had any kind of a horror or sci-fi connection has kind of done something like this.
But it's not just that. It's just I mean, if you really want to get into a discussion about that kind of thing, we'd have to be here for a couple of hours because
what are you talking about?
There's I think our youth are more desensitized these days,
absolutely
and they just don't. This thing just doesn't affect them so much.
Yeah,
and they don't think about it. What I really liked about this particular film, though, at the end, was that we realized Carrie really did have control of her powers, and she knew who was on her side and who was trying to help her and who wasn't. Anyway.
That's it for us. Good. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll be back with Brandon again next week for another new movie review. Mom, thanks for coming and doing this with me.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking
down the road, I think you and I ought to do some longer discussions on older horror films.
Oh, that would be fun.
Thrillers and things.
Yeah,
especially stuff that you and I watched when I was in high school. That I haven't gone back to in a long time.
Flatliners.
I really want to go. I really want to do, and there's a couple other things here and there as well.
Cool.
But anyway, so everybody, thanks as always for watching. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan,
and I'm Wendy, his mom.
See you later.
Thanks.